Assalamu alaikum. Today we'll discuss the anatomy of the urinary bladder. I'm Dr. Sadia. This is a picture of the urinary bladder, and this is the urethra in case of female. So this is an area of the trigon. These holes are which receive the lower part of the ureters at the superolateral angles. At the inferior angle, it receives the urethra. So this is the bladder. This is the mucosa of the bladder. In whole of the bladder, the mucosa is actually present in folds. But in case of trigon, it is tightly adherent to the muscular cord, and it is not whether when the bladder is empty, it is the mucosa is thrown into folds, and when it is full, it the actually the folds are actually disappear. So at the time when the bladder is empty, the mucosa of the trigon is actually fixed to the muscular cord. It is not actually thrown into folds. Achha, okay. When the bladder is actually distended, and the superior surface of the bladder reaches up to the hypogastric region, and when it is empty, it is in the pelvic cavity. So it is situated behind the pubic symphysis or behind the pubic bones. Actual capacity of the bladder, that is 500 ml, and it has a strong muscular wall that is made up of detrusor muscle, mucosa, submucosa, and detrusor muscle. Empty bladder actually lies in the pelvis, but when it fills, it raises up into the hypogastric region of the abdomen. So it is of pyramidal in shape. This is the urinary bladder. This is of pyramidal in shape. It has an apex. It has a superior surface. It has a posterior surface or the base, and it has two inferolateral surfaces. So this is an inferolateral surface, and other is on the other side. This is the neck of the bladder, which actually receives the base of the prostate in case of male. So this is again in a urinary bladder. In a child, the empty bladder projects above the pelvic inlet. In young child, the bladder is present above the pelvic inlet. When the pelvic cavity enlarges, so this bladder will come out and take their ultimate position. So empty bladder is pyramidal, having an apex. I already told you this is an apex which is behind the pubic symphysis base, which is at the back. This is a picture of male urinary bladder. So at the base of the male urinary bladder, we will find the vas deferens and seminal vesicles at the back. And over the superior surface, the peritoneum is present, and over the back, the peritoneum is present. So here, this is the peritoneal fold which covers the rectum, then it reflects over the superior surface of the bladder and forms the rectovesical pouch in male. So this is the superior surface, and this is an apex of the bladder. This is the base of the bladder. This is inferolateral surface, and this is the neck of the bladder, where the base of the prostate is present. So we move forward. In case of a female, this is a picture of male. This is a picture of a base or posterior surface of the bladder, where the seminal at the superolateral angles, the ureter is entering into the bladder, and these are the ureters, the lower part of the ureters. These are the seminal vesicles, which actually so these are the vas deferences, which actually separate the two seminal vesicles. This is the seminal vesicle on the one side. This is on the other side, and this is the prostate gland, which is present on the neck of the urinary bladder. So this is the posterior surface or base of the urinary bladder in case of male, and this is the bladder. This is the apex of the bladder. This is the base of the bladder. So uterus actually lies over the superior surface of the urinary bladder in case of female. These are the fallopian tubes. These are the ovaries, and posteriorly it has a rectum. So on the base of the urinary bladder in case of female, it is in contact with the lower part of the ureter and the cervix and the vagina, and this is the urethra of a female. So we have an apex, the base, the superior, the inferolateral surfaces, and the neck of the bladder. This is a cross section of the female. This is a cross section of the male. So what are the relation? What are the surfaces of the urinary bladder? Superior surface, as we have discussed, and the right inferior surface, the left inferior surface, the posterior surface of, or the base, apex, and the neck. So we have this is the superior surface. This is the base or the posterior surface. This is the neck, which is attached with the median umbilical ligament, and this is the neck of the bladder. This is the neck, and this is the from the neck the urethra is emerging out downward. So, what are the relations? A base faces posteriorly, so this is the base of the bladder, faces posteriorly, and in this is the cross section of the male, and the base. This is the base of the bladder, and these are the anterolateral surfaces. This is the apex. This is the neck of the bladder. It is actually a pyramidal shape. The superolateral angles joined by these are the superolateral angles which actually joined by the ureters on each side, and the inferior angle actually give rise to urethra. So this is the inferior angle which actually joins the prostatic urethra. Two differentia lie side by side. These are the vas deferens which lie side by side on the posterior surface and separate the seminal vesicles. And these vas deferens actually separate the seminal vesicles. So these are the seminal vesicles. Then the vas deferens joins with the seminal vesicles and forms the ejaculatory duct which opens into the prostatic urethra. So these are the posterior relations in case of male vas deferens. So this is the vas deferens and seminal vesicles. So these are the seminal vesicles, the rectum at the back, and the retrovesical fascia, and the peritoneum. So this is the fold of peritoneum which actually reflects over the superior surface of the bladder and over the posterior surface of the bladder. So this is the rectovesical pouch in case of male. So this is the neck of the bladder, and where the prostate is present, this is the base or the posterior surface of the bladder. These are the superolateral angles where the ureter enters on the each side, and this is inferior angle where it receives the internal urethral orifice and the prostatic urethra. This is the apex which actually behind the pubic symphysis, and it actually attaches the umbilicus with the median umbilical ligament. So this is the in case of females, vagina and part of the uterus. So this is the posterior surface of the bladder. In case of female, this is part of the uterus, and the cervix and the vagina is actually at the back of the posterior surface of the bladder. So this is superior relations in case of male. In case of male, this is the superior surface which is covered by a peritoneum, and the sigmoid colon and the loops of the ileum, they are present superiorly. Coils of ileum and sigmoid colon. So this is a picture of a male. This is rectovesical pouch. This is the posterior surface of the bladder, and this is the prostate and the neck of the bladder. And here in case of female, the superior surface is covered by a uterus, which is actually uterus lies over the superior surface of the bladder, and the sigmoid colon and the roots of the ileum are also present in contact with the superior surface. And lateral in case of lateral relations, so this is another picture where the uterus is actually lies over the superior surface, the fallopian tubes and the ovaries, and the sigmoid colon and the loops of the ileum, they are also present here over the superior surface. So this is a male urinary bladder. This is a prostate, and these are the laterally. It is in contact with the levator ani. So this is levator ani laterally, and this is an obturator internal. So the levator ani and obturator internals is present in the lateral relations of the bladder. Move forward. This is another picture, and this is a uterus which lies over the bladder in case of female. This is the loops of the sigmoid colon, and these are the superior relations. These are the superior relations where the sigmoid colon and the loops of the ileum, and this is the rectum. This is rectovesical pouch in case of male. This is the posterior surface. This is apex, which is attached with the median umbilical ligament. This is the neck, which is attached with the base of the prostate. Here in female, the uterus lies over the urinary bladder, sigmoid colon, loops of ileum, and this is the rectouterine pouch. The peritoneum, which covers the rectum, and then it reflects over the uterus, and this it forms the rectouterine pouch. This is very important case of female, and the inflammatory fluid actually collects here in the rectouterine pouch. It has a clinical significance, and this is a this is a utrovesical pouch, and it has less significance, less clinical significance. So this is another picture which is showing the rectovesical pouch in case of male, and the loops of the sigmoid colon and the ileum relations of the superior surface of the bladder. This is again, it shows the trigon orifices of the ureter, which is in the interureteric ridge, and this is trigon, triangle in shape. This is the urethral orifice. This is prostatic urethra, and this is the base of the prostate. This is the neck of the prostate. Move forward. What is juvula vesicae? Juvula vesicae is a small elevation, is an elevation of the bladder wall situated behind the urethral orifice. So this is the urethral orifice. This is the base of the prostate. This is median lobe of the prostate. So when the median lobe of the prostate pushes the bladder wall from downward, it actually forms a pouches laterally. These muscular coat of the bladder known as is produced by the median lobe of the prostate, and muscular coat of the bladder known as detrusor muscle at the neck. It is thickening to form the sphincter vesicae. So this is the sphincter vesicae. Okay, the medial lobe of the prostate actually push from downward. So what happened? The small pouches of the bladder wall formed on either side of the bladder. So whenever the median lobe enlarges and it enters into the bladder neck, and these pouches become enlarged, and it actually become the stagnant areas where the urine actually collects and causes the repeated cystitis or infection or inflammation of the bladder. So what is the significance of the internal urethral sphincter? Internal urethral sphincter is actually here. It is actually um, due to the it is formed by the circular muscle of the bladder, and it actually closes the bladder. It actually closes the bladder neck, and why it is more important in case of male, it is actually innervated by the S2, S3, S4 pelvic splanchnic nerves, and its function is to constrict the internal urethra and prevent the urinary leakage. So it prevents the urinary leakage, and its other function is to prevent the retrograde ejaculation. Whenever the female will go downward for the ejaculation, it prevents the entry of the semen into the urinary bladder, or it actually prevents the mixes of the semen with the urine. So it also prevents the retrograde ejaculation of semen into the bladder. So this is a very important function in case of male. At the time of ejaculation, it closes off and actually prevents the mixing of the semen to the urine, or it actually inhibits the entry of the semen into the urinary bladder. So this is another picture of the urinary bladder in case of male. This is a prostate present at the neck of the bladder, and this is the posterior surface which contains the vas deferens seminal vesicles and the lower part of the ureter. And this is the apex, which is attached with the median umbilical ligament, and the superior surface is covered by a peritoneum, fold of peritoneum. This is rectovesical pouch in case of male. Okay, this is a rectum posteriorly, and this is the Dinoveller's fascia, and which prevents the prostatic carcinoma to invade the rectum. So this is very important. This is a fold of peritoneum which comes downward and forms the Dinoveller's fascia, and this fascia is called rectovesical septum also. So this is a apex of the bladder. This is the superior surface which is covered by a peritoneum. Sorry, this is the base or the posterior surface which is also covered by a peritoneum. This is a fold of peritoneum which is actually sorry, and this is actually fold of peritoneum which is coming downward. This is a prostate gland, seminal vesicle and Mars deferens ducts when unites with each other, they form the ejaculatory duct which opens into the prostatic urethra. So this is prostatic urethra, this is the membranous urethra, and this is the penile urethra. So whenever the time of at the time of ejaculation, this internal जो आपका है sphincter vesicae will closed off and it closes the bladder neck, so the semen will not enter into the bladder and not mixes with the urine. So this is the inferolateral surface, this is the superior surface, this is the apex, this is the neck, and this is the base or the posterior surface in case of male. In case of female, this is the this is a utrovesical pouch. So this is vesico-uterine pouch, and this is the recto-uterine pouch. This is very very important. It actually collects the inflammatory fluid in case of female. So this is how the peritoneum covers the superior surface of the bladder in case of female. This is the median umbilical ligament. This is the bladder. This is the external sphincter of the external urethral sphincter in case of female. This is the internal urethral sphincter, and this is a uterus which lies over the superior surface. This is the cervix, and this is the vagina downward, and posteriorly we have a rectum. This is recto-uterine pouch. So and this is these are the relations: superior surface, the apex with the median umbilical ligament posteriorly. This is the posterior surface of the base. At the neck we have an urethral sphincter. So this is a bladder which is in the female. This is how the bladder is in contact with the levator ani and the obturator internus. So it is supplied by the branches of the internal iliac arteries, superior vesical arteries, and which are the branches of the internal iliac arteries, supplies the anterior superior parts of the bladder, and in males the inferior vesical arteries supply the fundus and neck of the bladder. So in females, the inferior vesical arteries actually replaced by the vaginal arteries replaces the inferior vesical arteries and send small branches to the posterior inferior parts of the bladder. Obturator and inferior gluteal arteries also supply give the small branches to the bladder. So this is the superior inferior vesical arteries in case of male, superior vesical or vaginal arteries in case of female, because the vaginal arteries replaces the inferior vesical arteries. Obturator additional blood supply comes through the obturator artery in the inferior gluteal artery. So these are the blood supply. This is the bladder. This is the superior vesicle. These are the superior vesical arteries. Which gives the branches. Obturator arteries also give the branches to the bladder. So these are the superior vesical arteries and the inferior vesical arteries in case of male, and superior vesical arteries and vaginal arteries in case of female. Additional by the obturator arteries and gluteal arteries. So the veins draining into the internal iliac venous plexus, internal iliac veins. The venous plexus drains into the internal iliac veins. Veins draining from the bladder correspond to the arteries, and veins from the vesical venous plexus drains into the internal iliac venous plexus. So these are the veins drains into the internal iliac vein. Nerve supply is important because the preganglionic parasympathetic fibers will come from the S2, S3, S4, and it causes the contraction of the detrusor muscle, and it actually it causes the relaxation of the sphincter vesicae, and epidendal nerve which causes the contraction of the external urethral sphincter. It actually depends whether the condition is favorable or unfavorable. If the condition is favorable, if the condition is favorable, the pelvic splanchnic nerves which are coming from the S2, S3, S4, they causes the contraction of the urinary bladder, and they relaxes the sphincter vesicae, and the pudendal nerve relaxes the external urethral sphincter. But in case whether the condition is not favorable, the messages will go to the brain. The brain actually inhabit the pelvic splanchnic nerves. Then the sympathetic nerves will come from the L1 and L2. These are the postganglionic sympathetic fibers which comes from the L1 and L2 sympathetic ganglia. and which actually relaxes the bladder wall. These inhabited by pelvic sphincter inhabited by the brain, and these actually stimulated to come and actually relaxes the bladder. Sympathetic nerve relaxes the bladder and actually it produces the contraction over the sympathetic sphincter vesicae, and this pudendal nerve actually produces the contraction over the external urethral sphincter. So actually it depends whether the condition is favorable and condition is not favorable. This actually voluntary control actually patient develops after the age of 3 years. Before 3 years, the bladder is actually in reflex condition. When it becomes filled, it automatically relaxes by itself. But after the age of 3 years, it actually controlled by the brain, and it comes in a voluntary control. So after pelvic nerve, it is the sensory sensation when the bladder becomes full, when the sensory nerves, the afferent nerves passes through the pelvic splanchnic nerves, and the very smaller afferent nerve passes through the sympathetic nerve. The major bulk of the sensory nerve passes through the pelvic nerves, that is the S2, S3, S4, pelvic splanchnic nerves. The very small part of the afferent pelvic nerve passes through the sympathetic fibers. So the lymphatic drainage in both sexes, the lymphatic vessels leave the superior surface of the bladder and passes to the external iliac node. From the superior surface, the drainage will go to the external iliac node, and those from the fundus pass to the internal. So external and internal iliac node both receive the lymphatics of the bladder, and then it will go into the common iliac nodes. So what are the clinicals? Bladder distension. Bladder distension could be the acute retention and the chronic retention. This is because this occurs due to the mostly occurs in males after 50, and this is when the prostate gland like come enlarged. So the median lobe will enter through the bladder neck into the bladder, and it actually obstructs the way of the urine downward. So what happened? This obstruction of the urine, which is actually occur due to the enlargement of the prostate gland. So that causes the acute retention of the urine and severe pain in the lower abdomen in the hypogastrium region, or the chronic retention of the urine. So and that ultimately leads to a back pressure in the ureters and the kidney, and the patient suffers from the along with the acute retention, it suffers from the repeated urinary infection. So we'll check the urinary, we'll check the bladder from inside by the cystoscope. It is a pipe where, over the front of the that pipe, the camera is attached, which actually show the internal structures of the bladder. So show the whether the cystitis or any abnormality is present inside the bladder. So what are the bladder injuries? There are extraperitoneal and intraperitoneal injuries, and in extraperitoneal, um, in case of intraperitoneal, so in case of bladder injuries, the intraperitoneal ruptures and in extraperitoneal ruptures. In case of the intraperitoneal rupture, the bladder is actually full, and it is reaches up to the superior surface, reaches into the hypogastric region. Whenever whenever the bladder is full and somebody kicks the bladder, what happens? The urine actually spills into the peritoneal cavity and causes the severe peritonitis. But is in the extraperitoneal ruptures, the bladder is under the peritoneal reflection, and it is actually ruptured by the fractures of the pelvic bones during the crush injuries, during the road traffic accidents. Whenever the pelvic bone fractures will occur, that leads to the extraperitoneal rupture of the bladder wall, and the fractured bones of the pelvic bone actually penetrated into the bladder wall and causes the extraperitoneal ruptures, and the from the urethra, the blood will come out, and the blood is present in the urine as well. The patient suffers from the hematuria as well. So, so in case of atonic bladder, this actually occurs when the spinal cord damage will occur, and after the spinal shock, the patient will go into the atonic bladder, and the bladder is actually actually not under the influence of the brain and the spinal cord. This actually the bladder become flaccid, and the urethral sphincter vesicae become contracted, and the external urethral sphincter become relaxed, and whenever the bladder is filled, it automatically overflows by itself. And so it is not under the influence of, it's either not in the spinal cord, not under the control of the brain as well. So it is actually, and this atonic bladder condition occur after the spinal shock. It remains few days to few weeks. When the patient is out of the when patient recovers from the spinal shock, and he is comes in in the bladder is become automatic reflex bladder. So what is this automatic reflex bladder? Actually, this occurs when the actually damage will not occur at the level of S2, S3, S4, and the damage is above the S2, S3, S4, and जो आपका जो ST, S2, S3, S4 is completely intact. So what happened? Whenever the bladder become full, the afferent fibers via the pelvic splanchnic nerve reaches to the S2, S3, S4. The efferents will come out, and they will contract the bladder, they relax the sphincter vesicae, and the external urethral sphincter become relaxed, and the urine will pass. So the brain is not involved in that, but the spinal cord actually reflexly balance the release of the urine. What is autonomous bladder? When the damages occur at the S2, S3, S4 level, and the bladder becomes flaccid, it is not under the influence of spinal cord and the brain. So in this condition, if this is a permanent damage, and the bladder is become flaccid, and the sphincter vesicae and external urethral sphincter become relaxed. So whenever it becomes filled, it relaxes and overflows by itself, and it also shows the urine also goes through the back pressure into the ureters and the into the ureters and the kidney, and causes the repeated urinary tract infection. So this is a permanent damage. In this, we can evacuate the bladder by putting pressure over the abdomen, and causing the relax of the bladder. So this is a permanent damage to the bladder. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.